I'm Jonathan Whitcomb. Let's dive into this internet rumors about live pterodactyls. It's been going around for many years on the online sources, and they need to be brought to the up-to-date ideas about the truth about modern pterosaur investigations. For example, one of the first things that came out around the early year 2005, just a few months after my expedition in Umboi Island in Papua New Guinea, a rumor that anybody that believes in modern pterodactyls or dinosaurs is just lying and just dishonest. Well, the reality is that after my expedition on Umboi Island in Papua New Guinea, I came back and admitted to everyone I never saw anything like a Ropen or a strange flying creature, anything like a strange glowing light that's flying around at night, or anything like a pterodactyl that's not extinct. No, I admitted to everyone that I never saw anything like that. But I did interview some incredible eyewitness, some natives, and I got some of them on videotape interviews, and I interviewed them about what they saw, and I've made videos about that, written books about that, and so on. But still, internet rumors, people come back and get some of that sometimes, and they'll bring that up. Oh, Whitcomb, he's just a liar, you know. But go back to the sources. Why do they think that? Well, because I support the idea of the possibility that not all pterosaurs are extinct. There might be at least one species still living, and people discredit that and make fun of it and ridicule it, and they assume that it's something dishonest sometimes. But no, if I was dishonest, I would definitely report something I'd seen on Umboi Island. I'd say, well, I saw something that could have been a pterodactyl, or I saw a Ropen and it was gigantic. I could so easily have made up a lie if I was a liar, but I'm not, and I was not. And I don't plan on ever being a liar in the future. But what is this? Internet rumors also go into not just baseless conjectures about my associates and I being dishonest, but also that we're just biased, you know, and that because we think it's going to prove the Bible is true or that evolution is false. Such an just unrealistic oversimplification, people inventing things in their imagination about what I believe or what my associates and I believe. And a lot of this is just people imagining what I think and imagining what I want to do, imagining what I believe about religion and about science and about so on. It's all rumors about what people think I believe. They don't contact me, and generally they don't usually read what I've actually written about such things. But what about this idea that perhaps I'm biased in my interpretations and I just, anything that might be what I want it to be, then that's a pterodactyl? There's another rumor, and it's nonsense. If you go to Google or any other search engine, Google I wouldn't recommend best because there's certain things about it regarding modern pterosaurs, but whatever search engine you use, I suggest you search up the phrase apparent pterosaur or apparent pterodactyl, and the apparent has to come before the word pterodactyl or pterosaur, and see that I have written about this subject for years and years on different web pages, blog posts, and so on, admitting in any particular sighting report a possibility that there is some mistake. I'm a scientist, and I have to be objective and admit that in a particular report there may be an error of some type. It's just the overall cases of hundreds of different reports from around the world, from 5 continents, that I've examined, lead me to be absolutely sure that not all of those accounts can be mistaken in precise ways that means they're not pterosaurs. This is not reasonable. It's beyond any reasonable doubt. There's not all species of pterosaurs went extinct. So there's also this rumor that's been going on for a long time, still comes up on occasion, that I'm behind almost all accounts of the Ropen. Anything about the Ropen online, it's from me, and if it seems to be someone else, they got it from me. Well, no, that's not actually realistic. It's true. Over the past 18 years, I've published a tremendous amount, over 1,000 web pages and blog posts, but not nearly 100% of all the reports about it. Some of the other persons who report eyewitnesses who've come to them, or other cryptozoologists paranormal investigators and so on, who don't or didn't have any connection with me before they contacted me. And generally, they made their reports before they contacted me, and it's independent of me. It's from their own investigations. And eyewitnesses, generally, they don't know me. I don't know if there's any exceptions. Any eyewitness that know me before they had a sighting. I don't recall offhand anybody. But possibly one out of the many hundreds over the years. But generally, people have a sighting, and they don't expect it to be a pterodactyl. They just look at something fly around that catches their attention for some reason. They look in the direction and they see what's flying, and then they say, "Oh, what is that? Is that not a bird? A pterodactyl." And only after they're staring at it for a while and looking at it do they finally come to realize that's not what they thought it was. It's not a bird. It's actually a prehistoric flying creature, dinosaur, bird, dragon, whatever they call it. It's not a bird. And then sometimes they'll contact me very soon, even perhaps within 24 hours, but generally not. Sometimes many days later, sometimes weeks, sometimes months, sometimes years later, and occasionally even decades after their sighting, they'll finally learn that other people have seen the same thing, and so they contact me. They get my information online. So let's see. And there's another thing. It's an internet rumor that's been going on for a while. It's that it's from this one YouTube video. I'm not going to mention the name, but don't go to it. It's just nonsense mostly. But it's about, the tail length and the wingspan is just the same. The tail is just as long as a wingspan. That is very outdated information. I mean, I'm around the year 2005, maybe late in 2005, possibly 2006, early in 2006, but it was a long time ago when I made it clear that that's a mistake. There was a mistake in a particular interview, a misunderstanding in the eyewitness. Gideon Cora was eyewitness on Umboi Island. It's a mistake, and they didn't understand the concept of wingspan, apparently, and Gideon was thinking I referred to the wing. No, the wingspan is generally more like twice the tail length. So anything you find online that ridicules the idea of a Ropen because of this concept of tail length the same as a wingspan is just nonsense, and it's very outdated, now known to be a mistake. And also, this internet rumor that's based, apparently, as far as I can tell, it's just on speculations, and then people take that and they run with it, and then they repeat the speculation, not from interviewing me, not from calling me, not from contacting me, or even generally about even reading anything I've written or watching any of my videos even sometimes. They just take what they imagined or what somebody else has imagined and that they got that from, and that's repeat the rumor. But generally, this is that the Ropen's descriptions come from an outdated information about pterosaurs. So obviously, people are doing something wrong. Something's wrong, and it's just not correct. And it's not a precise scientific way of examining an idea. It's an innuendo, just kind of trying to cast some kind of shadow over the investigations. Not directly making any statement about how things happened, what happened to make certain thing happen, nothing remotely like science. Just innuendos in the rumors. Basically, it's not true. What descriptions? I mean, I've interviewed over the past 18 years hundreds of eyewitnesses from 5 continents, including hundreds of eyewitnesses of apparent modern pterodactyls in the United States. Now, technically, of course, the correct word is pterosaur for these apparent non-extinct flying creatures. But not all of them are Ropens with long tails and a flange at the end of the tail, but most of them are. Now, if people really want to be anything remotely like scientific, find out some reported sightings and then get the details. I mean, if you don't ever go into any details, but you're just throwing out rumors and innuendos that something's wrong with these investigations that my associates and I are doing, innuendos are not the proper way to get to the truth generally. It's just, and then imagining things about our religious beliefs, and sometimes perhaps they're true. Not always. Not always are these rumors about my religious beliefs true. No, it's better to ask me. But here's the thing. What year were they talking about when they're talking about descriptions of Ropens and they're outdated, so there's no hair or whatever? Some of the reports I get are people that are close enough they can see hair on the creatures. As we know, apparently some pterosaurs had some fur or hair or something like that. And that's what eyewitnesses say today of living animals, apparent living pterodactyls or Ropens. Some of them do get a good enough view close enough that they can see there's hair, but generally a lot of the eyewitnesses are far enough away that they can't tell if it has hair, but they get a good enough view that they can tell it's definitely not a bird and definitely doesn't have feathers. And people that are hypercritics and others, they say, oh, it still could be a bird. Well, when they say no feathers, generally that the big part of that, there's no primary feathers at all, nothing remotely like primary feathers. It's just more like bat wings in the sense that there's no primary feathers sticking out, in groups of long feathers at the end of the wings, nothing remotely like that. And the size variations are incredible. I've gotten into that in other videos, but let's get the conclusion. Many Western eyewitnesses, like Americans, as I said, the first glance, they're just assuming it's a bird, and then they realize after looking at it and seeing it clearly a little bit, then they start to think it's a pterodactyl. This same thing happened in 1944, just west of Finchhaven, in what was then called New Guinea, I believe. It was a later part of the country, of course, the mainland of Papua New Guinea, but just west of Finchhaven, inland, and it's just Dwayne Hodgkinson is an Army buddy with the United States Army. We're out there, and Dwayne was an observer for the field artillery, as I recall. So it was his job to watch and look and see what he could see. That's his job in the military then. Later, he became a plane pilot, and he was a certified flight instructor, over 13,000 hours of pilot flying experience. But that's an aside. Dwayne, at first, assumed it was a bird, even though it was gigantic, the wingspan of a Piper-Tripacer airplane. But he assumed it was a bird because it was flapping its wings and running in the same clearing that he and his buddy were in. The same clearing, which is only about 100 feet in diameter. Wingspan, close to 30 feet. He didn't make a huge mistake. He's from a farm in the Midwestern United States. In his teenage years, he knows sizes of fields and sizes of different animals and birds and things. He said it was about the wingspan of his Piper-Tripacer airplane, which he had later after he was in the service. But yeah, he estimated the tail length at 10, as he said, quote, as I recall, this is the quote from Dwayne Hodgkinson, who passed away a few years ago, quote, at least 10 or 15 feet long. And he said that while he was being interviewed on videotape. Don't know if we have that. I have it somewhere in my office here. And I don't know if there's anything on the internet that actually has that, him saying that, but I tell you, that's what he said. I saw that video footage and him speaking those words, at least 10 or 15 feet long for the tail. And now we know from Gideon's estimate of the tail length on Umboi Island of the Ropen they saw in broad daylight, clear daylight, estimated 7 meters. 7 meters is 23 feet. Same neighborhood. It's not a flying fire fruit bat, which basically has a tail length of pretty much 0 millimeters. It's just not the same. And so we also have sightings like Dwayne Hodgkinson's and Brian Hennessy, who both gave me sketches of and you compare them yourself, look so similar. They were many miles apart and years apart. Hodgkinson was in 1944. Hennessy was in 1971. That's 50-year anniversary around where we are now, a 50-year anniversary of that sighting by Hodgkinson on Bougainville Island. Both of them saw the same species, I believe, the same kind of Ropen. Both of them had long tails, long skinny tails that they saw. And it's, I think, the same species as the Ropen that was seen by the 7 boys in daytime again. All these sightings I'm telling you right now, Bougainville, 1971, near Finch Haven, 1944, and around 1994 at Umboi Island, Lake Pung. These are clear daylight sightings. There's no obstruction to view. I mean, this is a clear middle-of-the-day sightings. No misidentifications likely, especially not in the size of these things that were described. So keep up with us on these videos. Keep watching, and we'll be back together. And subscribe, hit the bell notifications button, leave comments. If you like it, just let us know you like it. And I hope that we can get together again soon. Thank you.